make up your mind about makeup. Now, to the males in this room, I don't want you to assume it's now seen as ridiculous and even comical. There are people who are famous and extremely successful thanks to the makeup community. For example, Kylie Jenner is one of the world's youngest billionaires because she has produced her own makeup brand that has been bought by millions around the globe. James Charles and Jeffree Star have over 20 million subscribers between them, again because of the makeup community. The reason I mention these people is to allow you a better understanding on how important makeup is in today's society. People are making a living by playing off of exaggerated standards and common insecurities around beauty. One thing that has been brought to my attention about people today is that we all have an image in our head on what's attractive and what isn't. This won't be the same for everyone, but they usually consist of the same things. So who exactly decides this? Who's the person that decides when something is attractive and another thing isn't? Is it an image that we create in our head ourselves, or is it something that we are taught to believe? One product that I use on a daily basis is concealer, which is quite self-explanatory. Concealer is used to cover the parts of your face that you don't really like. So naturally, I cover my entire face in this. My first problem lies here. I look in the mirror every day and I do not like what I see. I see red patches on my skin, so I cover that. I see spots and I see acne scars that look horrible, so I cover those too. I see dark circles under my eyes and freckles spread all across my face, so I cover all of that up as well. All I do is cover the natural parts of my face because I've been taught to be embarrassed of red patches and spots and dark circles. But why? It's not like I'm the only person that has these things. What I've told you isn't me trying to prevent you from wearing makeup, because I know that myself, I'm not going to stop. However, what I am trying to get you to do is think. Think before you spend $20 a week and 20 minutes a day putting on makeup. Why? Why are you putting on makeup? The purpose of makeup shouldn't be to make people feel like they need to hide. We should all feel free to be comfortable in our own skin. When I look in the mirror, do you really think that I'm saying to myself, wow, I'm so beautiful? Of course I'm not. When I look in the mirror, I pick out all of my flaws. However, now that I am getting older and growing into my own skin, I am able to use makeup to my advantage. I can embrace my insecurities and accentuate my best features. Just look at my piercing blue eyes. I've also come to realize that less is definitely more. I no longer feel like I need to hide my face under an inch of makeup and can feel confident in my appearance. Nowadays, makeup is still a form of protection or a form of armor, but a much thinner layer than before. Instead of using makeup as a mask to hide behind, I can use it to emphasize the best parts of me, and I encourage you to do the same. Thank you.
Wow, that was a good performance by the speaker of Baku. And about makeup, very interesting topic. She mentioned how she was taught to be embarrassed by society about her face, her natural features, the red marks and sleep marks under her eyes. But now that she's growing older, embracing the insecurities, I thought that was a really interesting point. And as, I don't know, I don't wear makeup myself, so I never knew it took 20 minutes in the morning or $20 a week for makeup. So that was an interesting point for me. And I think it's really great that she's speaking up against this, because I think girls should not be pressured by society to change the way they look naturally. I think that is ridiculous, like she said, a very good persuasive argument. And I'd like to mention one thing, that the round is going longer than expected, so there has been a room change, and the impromptu that was supposed to be covered by the stream next round will not be covered, and we'll have another form of entertainment for you guys on the live stream. As for now, there is one more speaker in this round from Kiev. It'll be Kiev I-10 doing their original speech. There seem to be some difficulties in the room. Probably timing difficulties, because, well, it's the school's first time hosting this tournament, and it's in a new building, a new format. Oh, okay, now she's approaching the podium, I-10, Kiev.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Ayten, and I'll be representing Kiev International School. Bonjour, ¿cómo estás? What's up? Everyone in this room probably knows these phrases. There are really only a few people who don't. Whether they are taught at home, picked up from a foreign country, or learned at school, these are phrases everyone like me encounters. Just little things like greeting strangers on the street or even liking memes in different languages on Instagram introduce us to elements of multilingualism. The world has changed drastically. A couple of decades ago, much was different. Being multilingual wasn't really a thing, much like eating Tide Pods or dropping out of high school to become a YouTube vlogger. But now, it is completely normal to know at least 2 languages due to the rapid globalization taking place in the 21st century. I grew up all around the world, which inevitably meant speaking more than one language. I was born in Maputo, Mozambique, initially exposed to Portuguese. Estou fixe, and my parents' native tongue. How's it, Yella? Of course, I wasn't a child genius who could speak both fluently at the age of 4, but I was well on my way. However, my learning of Portuguese skidded to a halt once I moved to South Africa, where I spoke mostly Afrikaans. As Afrikaans is one of the 11 official languages in the country, I began to mix my speech like a true South African. I would say things like, "Ya, you wena." As everyone at NSA does this, I never thought there was anything weird about the way I spoke, and even when I tried English, I thought, I speak the language very deliciously. Not long after, I was thrust into an airplane and planted, just like marijuana, in Jamaica for 4 years. There I went to the American school to speak English with a real American accent. I also had to get used to Jamaican English, Wagwamon, which is patois, and thus my accent became even funnier. Can you say something that sounds American, South African, and Jamaican all at once? I know I can. I was a small girl with one of the weirdest speech patterns, a mixing bowl of everything I'd ever learned, and it confused me the way others spoke. Or maybe it was the other way around. At first I didn't notice, but the laughs and giggles my family or friends would stifle whenever I spoke began to really get to me. I couldn't speak normal English or Afrikaans, and this jumbled my brain at times. Somehow I struggled to properly separate the 2 languages. Maybe it was because of a lack of brain cells, because I just couldn't figure it out. I would say stop it in Jamaican Afrikaans, or how are you in American Afrikaans. Sometimes it sounded like I was hit in the head, multiple times, and it was difficult to understand me. I don't even know how I made friends, to be honest. They just had to get used to my speech patterns and get over the fact that I was just a strange girl from Africa, trying to fit in somewhere. Thankfully, my English improved as the years passed. I studiously studied grammar and practiced my speaking, and with time, it became more fluent. Other than English, Afrikaans is a major aspect of my life. I speak it at home or when I visit my family back in South Africa. But keep in mind that unlike English, I have never studied it formally in school before. It is a pretty unique language, and since I don't use it as often as English, my conversations with the family are quite peculiar since I don't have an extensive vocabulary. When I speak it, I unknowingly make up words, and the person stares at me trying to figure out what gibberish is coming out of my mouth. It is like a foreign language to them when I speak it, and honestly, it is quite funny to them when I communicate my nonsense with confidence. A lot of times, I would invent new Afrikaans words and pronounce English words in an Afrikaans accent, or even attempt to think of English words that would make sense in Afrikaans, all to no avail. It is pretty bad and sounds mostly horrible. One would think I know my stuff and I'm a cool kid because I speak a language an infinitesimally small portion of people know and sound pretty fluent, but in reality, my in-depth knowledge is sparse. Nonetheless, I try to fix it by listening intently to the conversations of those who speak Afrikaans. It sounds like eavesdropping, but in reality, it is just some information gathering. It wasn't like I understood most of it anyway. When we moved to Kiev, I did not know any Russian words. Each time I tried to say something in Russian, I would accidentally throw out some Afrikaans words here and there, answering ya instead of da, but in South Africa I would replace hello with privyet, Russian, literally the farthest country from anywhere where people speak Russian. I have given up trying to regulate what I say because I never make much sense. I've learned to handle bewildered expressions and countless huhs. Even when I speak universal language English, I continue to sound crazy. Nothing much has really changed from my childhood, and I guess people will get used to ignoring my outrageous statements or random usage of foreign words. But even if I have a difficult time with being multilingual, it has shaped who I am today. Without these moments of forgetfulness and mistakes, I would never be able to learn a language or even learn to laugh at myself. I'm practically hilarious. So while I scroll through multilingual memes, I think to myself how lucky I am to be exposed to all these languages and the cultures that ride along with them. My linguistic experiences allow me to gossip in at least 2 languages at any given moment. If someone asked me what it's like to speak more than one language, I would say very bien, because it is indeed so. Now I can confidently say, "Baie dankie, mis amigos, for listening to my speech. Spasiba, boa noite." Thank you.
Wow, very nice speech by I-10 in Kiev. About moving in languages, and I can relate to this myself because I've moved a couple times in my life myself, 6 or 7 times. I heard she's been in places like South Africa and Jamaica. I think that's really interesting, and how they speak different languages basically, but same English, different accents. So, and I could hear it in her voice. That was interesting. And I thought that was a really good introduction to herself and a great original speech by I-10 Kiev. And so that's it for the round of original oratory. We have some more interviews from earlier today that we'd like to show you, and so here they are.
So, Mr. Curry, the first round of the debate just happened. Could you share your opinion on this first round, and what did you say?
Well, this is actually the first time I've been involved in this event, and that was my first debate ever, and I was blown away by the preparedness of the competition. The students that were in particularly our KIS students, I think they handled themselves very well. It was very interesting to see how much knowledge they had to have to answer the questions, back and forth questions. If you mentioned something in your debate, you had to be able to defend it. And I think we did that very well. Very, very impressed. Very impressed.
And when the debates were happening, like 9 rooms were occupied at the same time. In which room were you?
I was in Mr. Samaniak's room, and I didn't touch anything Mr. Samaniak. Thank you to Mr. Legan and the high school students for vacating this and making this possible.
So thank you for organizing all of this, because the tournament this year is huge.
Well, a big thank you goes to a lot of other people, Ms. Taylor, who did all the logistics for the debate itself, and Mr. Hume and our media team, obviously, for making this happen.
Okay.
Lots of people to thank.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Curry. I think we'll go back to you.
Okay. Thank you.
Like that, and shuts the door in her face. And he goes, "Machine, when it gets dark, we will have good time." And I'm like, "What are we doing when it gets dark?" So he reaches into his pocket and pulls out a big ring of keys, and he goes, "We're robbing the whole train." So I'm like, let's start with my class. Okay, thank you.
From the International School of Helsinki, I will be reading out an excerpt from Super Fudge by Judy Bloom. "Look, Peter," Dad said, "we were hoping you'd be pleased about moving to Princeton. We've already rented a house there, and we've arranged to sublet our apartment." "You should have told me before, just like you should have told me about Tootsie as soon as you knew. You never tell me anything. And here," I said, shoving Tootsie at Dad, "why don't you hold your stupid baby yourself? Because I have things to do." I got up and marched across the living room, kicking a couple of Fudge's cars as I went. By the time I got to my room, he was crying. Good, I thought. And then Tootsie started. Better yet. And then Turtle began to bark. Let them suffer. I slammed my bedroom door, and my map wound up on my bed again. On the morning of the move, Mom woke me up at 6 o'clock. I still had to pack my carton of special things, but first I wanted some juice. I'm always thirsty first thing in the morning. On my way to the kitchen, I passed Tootsie's crib. She was watching her mobile and gurgling away. She was also covered with trading stamps. They were stuck to her arms, her legs, her belly, and her face. Quiet for a minute. Then he said, "You know what, Daddy? I'm off the wall." "Who told you that?" Dad asked. "Peta, didn't you?" Fudge asked me. "I'm off the wall," Fudge repeated, "just like Peta's map of the world." He rested his head against the mom's shoulders, and I could hear him slurping away at his fingers. He was still wearing his disguise. Thank you.
Well, hope you enjoyed that back at the booth. So that was the first round of original oratory. We really enjoyed what we showed you. We hope you enjoyed it too. And we'll be signing off until the next round, till the next stream. Bye from me, Max.
And bye from me, Dima.